Good morning, ladies and gentlemen. This is Mohammad Mehdi Hassan, lecturer, Department of Mechatronics Engineering, RUET. Along with me, we have Afifa Akhtar and Samir Yamin as moderator to provide any sorts of technical support to this session. Today, we are in the second day of 2021 International Conference on Automation, Control, and Mechatronics for Industry 4.0. Current time is 10:40 a.m. Bangladesh Standard Time. I would like to welcome all of you in the invited session number 3 of ACMI 2021. On this special occasion, we feel honored to have Suyog Bhevare, Technical Consultant, Research and Development at Synco's Automation Technologies Limited as an invited speaker. ACMI 2021 has got a new dimension to have a resourceful person like him. So dear audience, this is the time to welcome our honorable invited speaker, Suyog Bhevare, with a big round of applause.
Thank you.
Thank you for your appreciation.
Let me introduce yourself because I need to tell about it, tell about you to the audience. We are very fortunate to have Suyog here. He is a technical consultant in research and development, Synco's Automation Technologies Limited, and his title is What is Industry 4.0 in Bangladesh? So I want to read his bibliography. This is a short bibliography. Suyog Bhevare is the technical consultant, research and development at Synco's Autonomous Technology Limited since 2019. He received his Bachelor of Engineering in Electronics and Telecommunication degrees from Mumbai University, India. He is an IEEE member for the past 15 years, and he is a part of Region 10 Individual Services Committee. He is a part of 3 standard working group. That is group 1 is IEEE P001.3, recommended practice for design of industrial and commercial power system. That is a voltage consideration he is working on. And next group is IEEE P940, standard for measuring robot agility. And third group is IEEE SAP7007, ontological standard for ethically driven robotics and automation systems working group. He is currently working on electronics, product development, IoT solution, and RF technology. He is a radio operator and working in ham radio, and his call sign is VU2THF. So without further delay, let's congratulate and let's welcome our invited speaker, Suyog Bhevare.
Thank you, sir. So I guess let's start with my presentation. Let me share my screen with you. Okay, is my screen visible now properly?
Yeah, we could see your screen.
So basically, before I start my presentation, let me tell you what I'm going to tell you and how I'm going to conclude my presentation. Me being a IEEE volunteer for last 15 years, I usually interact with young professionals and students. So I usually frown upon kind of a formal presentation. I tend to keep it like more like a question and answers based presentation, and my slides are mostly for the formalities. But this being a very formal conference, I can't be really very much informal, but I will love to run through my presentation as soon as, I mean, as quickly as possible, and then I would love to have more questions from you guys, and I would love to keep it more interactive. So I would like to keep like 60 to 70% of my time into a presentation, and then 40 to 30% into a Q&A type, or in Bangla you say an adda kind of thing, because usually in that settings you get more knowledge rather than a formal setup. So with that, let me start. So in my presentation, first I'll introduce you what my company does. It will be very brief. Then I'll tell you what is Industry 4.0, and what exactly is the scenario of Industry 4.0 in Bangladesh. And when I will be telling you about Industry 4.0, like usually when you Google about Industry 4.0 or Industry 4.0 in Bangladesh, you will get a lot of keywords, or like what do you call 5G, 4G, 3D printing, rapid prototyping, IoT, logistics, supply chain, cold storage, industry, I mean, IoT in farming, IoT in fisheries. But okay, man, all these terms are there, but what exactly does it mean to my country? What does it mean to me as an engineering graduate? What does it mean to me as a, what do you call, a job scenario, or as a technical guy, how I can contribute to this Industry 4.0? So that is being, no one has demystified this thing. They are usually like, you go and see big articles, but end of the day when you read that article, you are still clueless, like, oh, what exactly is Industry 4.0, and how I, as a fresh graduate or as a what do you call academician, how can I contribute to it, or how can I have a part of that pie? So I would like to take it more on a practical basis, like what exactly, I mean, how exactly we implement Industry 4.0 on actual factories and actual industries in Bangladesh. So you can get an actual hands-on, what you call scenario, what we are doing. So that's it. So let's start. So basically, I'm working for Syncos Automation Technologies Limited. We are basically, it's a group of 3 companies: Syncos Engineers Limited, Syncos Automation Technologies Limited, and Syncos Technologies Silicon Valley. So this is Silicon Valley. It is in USA, and rest 2 are in Dhaka. So okay. So basically, we represent more than 11 partners here. You can see 1, 2, 3, 8 partners. So Markham Image, that is a dot code printing. So if you take any bottle, Coca-Cola, Mom, there you will find MRP and batch number. So that's what we do. Then Solaire is the compressor system. Venture is the industrial air conditioning system. So basically a whole building or whole factory gets HVAC. Sunrise is machinery. They are the packaging machine. Festo is pneumatic parts. Festo Didactic, you might be knowing, we have set up lab in your department, so you are quite aware of our that offerings. Siemens is into PLC and VFDs, or you call it the inverter locally, those kind of things. Cognex is into a machine vision. So you will say, yeah, these guys just advertising what they do, but actually I'm not advertising. All these things together make your Industry 4.0. So you need to know what exactly components are there, what parts are there. So that's the point. So these are the industry which we serve in Bangladesh. So when people say Bangladesh is mostly a garment or textile oriented country, I would beg to differ. You can see there are a lot of things happening in Bangladesh. Basically, your pharma is there, your FMCG is there, that is fast moving consumer goods. So if you see down, what all industries are there in Bangladesh, so these are all are there. So agro, beverage, cement, cosmetic, dairy products, electronics, electrical, then your animal feed, rubber industry, lubricants, water industry, packaging, paint, pesticides, pharmaceuticals, plastic goods, printing, PVC pipes, snacks food, that is your FMCG, spice, steel pipes, that is your steel mills. Textile is always there. Tobacco is a good part. Toiletries is again into your FMCG. So these all industries are there in Bangladesh. So there is a vast scope for Industry 4.0, which can increase your GDP and your productivity of your country. So that's the thing. So total customer base in Bangladesh, we have like 1500 plus companies, and solutions running is like 20,000, 2000 plus. So let me skip through all these things, because let's come to Industry 4.0 and then we can have a lot of Q&As. This is basically Festo. If you guys know, if most of you are from mechatronics, so you might be know there is a pneumatic control, pneumatic drives. So this is what Festo offers. Siemens is into PLCs and VFDs, HMIs, and few instrumentations like flow meters and pressure gauges. Cognex is into machine vision. So what we can do with these things, I'll get back to this slide once I told you more about Industry 4.0. So this is a kind of thing, you can say this is more like a trailer of Industry 4.0, like how machine vision will play an important part in your Industry 4.0. So this is what I told about printers. So this, wherever you see in Bangladesh, 90% of chances that it's our printer. So this is the thing, Industry 4.0 in Bangladesh. So from here, the interesting part will start for you guys. Please excuse me that there are few videos in my presentation, but I can't play because it's in a PDF format. I'm still trying to download the proper PPT. So sorry for that. The videos, maybe I'll try to play in the end if my presentation gets downloaded. Here was a good video about robots assembling a car and other such things. So whenever you see Industry 4.0, you will see robots, automation, you will see kind of what do you call, less humans, more machines kind of scenario. So can I ask question to participants?
Yeah, I think you can ask question, no problem.
Okay, so moderator, if you can allow to people to speak, so I would like to know, like Industry 4.2 or another technical revolution is more about automation and robotics and everything. So what do you guys think that if everything is automated, what will happen to laborers? Will they will they become jobless or something else? So if anyone can answer, that will be great. And please don't shy. I'm like your elder brother, so please be free. Don't think that he is some IEEE guy from Mumbai or anything. I'm just like your brother. So be free and frank. Anyone like to answer what will happen to laborers, like if everything becomes automated?
Dear audience, our speaker is asking question. If you have answer, please answer him. I think his question was if any automation in Bangladesh is existing right now. Am I correct, Mr.?
No. I'm saying like all industries are asking for automation. Like, okay, we want robots, we want machineries. So in that case, what will happen to the labor? What will happen to the factory workers?
Okay, I got it.
So what do you think? What students think?
So I think if nobody is answering, so I can provide my answer to you.
Okay.
That if automation happen, then we need to train our personnel or people who are working in the industry or some other areas. So we can motivate them, and we can provide them good training skills, how to operate the robot and how to automate the machines and other accessories within the industries. So training,
True, sir. Very true.
Yeah.
So basically, due to some reasons, historical reasons or whatever you can say, in Indian subcontinent, I would like to use the word Indian subcontinent because in India, Bangladesh scenario is one and the same. If you mention automation, robots, then people start, people in the sense like some people say, oh, you are trying to kill jobs. What about poor people? Everything is automated. What the laborers will do? Okay, that's not actual scenario. Everyone is like just fear mongering and making you scared. Right now, if you go to any factory, there are a lot of labors involved depending on what kind of factory is. Somewhere it's pure manual, but I'm talking of where everything is motamoti automated. The factories are struggling to get employees. they are saying, sir, we are not getting proper employees. We hire some person, after few weeks he leaves the job. We have to train new guy again. Our productivity is not increasing. Where one laborer is required, we have to hire 4 laborers, because as a contingency, if one doesn't turn up, at least we have 3 other people. That kind of scenario. But when, because my company is offering such kind of robots, we go there, we study their uses and everything. It turned out to be like these people who are in packaging line, or like where we are replacing them with robo, these people can be better utilized in same factory at some another section, where in fact they can get a better salary, because they will be doing a skill job, not just like a packaging job, like they put stuff in box and put a tape and seal it off. So that's the scene, that's the actual reality, that they are not getting proper laborers or proper factory workers. There is a shortage of factory workers, skilled factory workers, I'm saying. Second thing, even if a factory is fully automated end to end, there won't be any job losses. So please don't keep any bias against automation, that okay, this is going to kill job industry, or it is going to affect poor people. No, that's not the scenario. In fact, that will increase their quality of life. That will increase their what do you call monetary thing also, because their salary will increase, because they will be doing more skilled jobs. So that is the hard fact. So when you are looking at this presentation, please remove that fear or that kind of guiltness, like okay, we are killing jobs. No, we are not killing jobs. In fact, we are making quality jobs available. So that's on side note. Let's go to next slide. Unfortunately, this video means it's a PDF, so I can't play this video. So when you say industry 4.0, I know there are a lot of speakers who are going to touch this topic, but we coming from actual factory field or factory floor, I'll keep it more realistic or more practical oriented. So industry 1 was your first factories, which happened in 16th century, when some people started producing few things on mass produce. Industry 2 was your, when the steam engine came and everything become power loom, as we say, like your textile industry started working on steams, those kind of thing. Then in first half of 20th century, that we have a industry 3, that is all electronics and data driven things started coming up. And since if you go on which definition, since 2011 or 2015, we have industry 4.0, where everything is network centric and IT related. So basically, what's industry 4.0? So basically, industry 4.0 is your factory, fully connected factory, and you can access all data of your factory from using internet anywhere on the world. So because everyone say you can access your factory data, you can access your factory. What exactly is access? Access means like, okay, you are a plant in charge, or if I give you equivalence of your university, you are a HOD, you are somewhere attending conference in another country, or due to lockdown you're stuck at your home, but using your internet or mobile, you can see how your students are studying. You will get whole data, how, like if your student have attended today's lectures or not, or how late he was, whether he submitted his assignment. So that is like having access. So basically I'm giving an example of university, but now consider HOD as a factory owner or a factory in charge, and in place of student, consider all these are your machinery. So you are somewhere outside, yet you can see all data of your machinery. You can see what is the output of my plant, whether my production is going properly or not. Is there any problem? If there is problem, you get alert, okay, in this machine there is a problem, so it's slowing down or it's stop. So you can call your service people and rectify the problem. So that's what industry 4.0. And industry 4.0 now, due to advancement in AI and machine learning, is also integrating like self-correction. Like your machine in the sense, your whole SCADA system will learn itself, okay, if this machine has these parameters, it will break down in few days, like that. So it will predict the failures, it will predict and correct itself from catastrophic failures. So that's somewhere industry 4.0 is going. So industry 4.0, as you see in the presentation, starts from your raw material part till the dispatch part. And see how many steps are involved here. Raw material, warehouse, work in progress, semi-finished good, finished good, quality control, packaging, inventory, warehouse, dispatch. So let me give you one example of industry is your textile industry. Bangladesh has a huge textile industry, and I am giving you example of raw material and warehouse. What is happening? So basically, what your factory owners do, they buy cotton, organic cotton, either from Egypt, China, or India. They import to Bangladesh. They make thread out of it, that is yarn, and then they make garment, means kapra, and then they make a ready-made garment like t-shirt or pants. So this is the life cycle of your textile industry. So industry 4.0 equivalence I'm giving is like right now they check for cotton rates. Okay, what are the cotton rates? Are they $4 per 100 kg, or they $5 depending on the place order, and after almost 1 month they get their product. So they have every day they have to crunch the numbers. Every day they have to check, okay, in this much kg of cotton I'll make this much yard of cloths. In this much yard of cloths I'll make this much t-shirts or this much pants. And it's a huge exercise. Like lot of softwares are involved. At least 15 plus softwares are involved. A dedicated what you call specialized software which only tell you like in this much kg this much yarn will happen, in this much yarn this many t-shirts will happen. To make this many t-shirts it will take so much of time. So all these things, a lot of manpower is involved and lot of delays involved. Like it takes 3 to 4 days, and in 3 to 4 days your cotton rates change and everything, your calculation, you're back to square one. So in case of industry 4.0, or you can say in case of automation, or in case of what do you say, uh, sorry, connectivity, everything is automated. Automatically all these softwares or all these logics are uh, programmed in your cloud, and your cloud every second or every minute takes the current cotton rate and runs the statistical model and predicts what will be the future of what will be the future rate, and then it will automatically calculate everything. So basically you get what takes 3 days exercise, that 3 days exercise will come down to few minutes of exercise. So within few minutes, you know, okay, cotton rate is this much, so I have to take this actions, and I have to place an order, or you can mix order, like some order from India, some order from Egypt, like that kind of. So that's how it will what do you call, help industry. So this was also a video of a warehouse, like how automatically your products, like you place order on Daraz, or you place order on, I don't know what else is in Bangladesh, because in India we have Amazon and Flipkart. So basically you place order, automatically your robot will go to the storage bin, and from there it will take a proper product, places on a line, the barcode will get scanned, and it will say, okay, this is order of this SKU, and it will print a barcode with it will print a basically label with my address and shipping details, and you're good to go. So that's how it will work. Please excuse me for 2 minutes. There is some issue with my network. Can I join back in 1 minute?
Okay,
Is it
no,
okay, moderator?
okay, no problem. Go on.
So please give me 1 minute, exactly 60 seconds. Thank you, thank you. I am still online, but I'm just muting. Just give me a few seconds. Yeah, I don't know today what's happening. My mobile internet is also not working, and my broadband is also not working. So my apologies.
It's okay, no problem.
If you see this totally integrated automation, I gave you a rough example. Automatically all your products are taken from shelf, put on your packaging line, and then they are shipped. But in what we call this kind of things are already been implemented in India or in USA, you can say Amazon. You get step by step what do you call tracking data of your product. Like, okay, your product is now in warehouse. Now your product is into packaging. Your product is getting shipped. And in certain states of India and certain states of USA, you can also live track where is your product. So you can see, like for example, your product is somewhere in Amin Bazar warehouse. You can see it's coming from Amin Bazar to Gaptoli to Kalabagan and then to your home. So you can live track your product like how you live track Food Panda or other food delivery options. So that is also happening. Now you will say, okay, sir, what's a big deal? Food Panda, it's possible in Food Panda. It's possible in Sahaj or Pathao. So why? What's so great thing about that we can track our products and all that thing? So the difference is in Pathao or what do you call Food Panda, you only one order, one delivery guy. One order, one delivery guy. So it's very easy, 1:1 ratio. But if you see this, there is one truck which will have thousands of what do you call product and thousands of people who are copying. What do you call tracking it? So it's a huge task to map each and every product to each and every truck and each and every what we call customer. So all this is possible. All this is possible due to your what you call integrated things. So everything is connected to each other. So your product will have a unique barcode. Your that barcode is excuse me. Give me a second. Again, some problem with my internet. Give me a second. Sorry, I have to keep shuffling between mobile internet and ISP. So I guess now my ISP is solved. So coming back to this, so basically the barcode of your product is mapped to your order number. Order number is mapped to your truck, and everything is interlinked. So you will say, okay, this is very easy. But when you go in industry, there are a lot of different systems which work independently. They don't work together. So when you're targeting that, okay, I want to make my industry 4.0 or something like that, you have to keep in mind that you have to connect each system together. So from outside, it will look like one where everything is one, like, okay, it's Amazon. But if you go down, everything is different. The warehouse is different. The packaging line is different. So I'll come to in more details about that later. So this is also transport supply chain, one of the same thing. So here I was talking about the product tracking, how you will track your product. And it's like a parent and child, like there is a big pallet and big pallet will have small products. So you have to have that, what do you call, link up, traceability. Wait. Okay, so all this was in theory. Let me give you actual photos of industry. So Can anyone guess from the bottom what bottles are these? It's a very iconic bottle. Anyone? Something with football happened recently in few weeks back.
Sir, is this Coca-Cola's factory?
Yes. So can you guess what's happening over here? These are actual photos from Bangladesh, and these photos are taken by my colleagues. So this is not from internet, or this is not from out of Bangladesh or anything like that. So can you guess what's happening here?
So, okay, I could answer. Actually, I think the automation is taking the bottle, Coca-Cola bottle from the track, isn't it?
Not per se, but you're quite near.
In the first scene, I have seen some two of the arm actually here. It seems that it is taking the bottle from the track. And the second one, I actually,
we are taking something, but it's not a bottle.
oh, is it? It is not a bottle.
No, it is a bottle, but we are not physically taking the bottle. We are taking something else. But the English sentence will be we are taking dash dash dash.
Right now, I can't
Okay,
see
so
well.
I was just like trying to break the ice. So basically, here we are not taking the bottle, but here we are taking the photos of your bottle. So we are taking photos of this bottle, and as you can see in the bottom part, the green boxes. Can you see my cursor?
Yeah, we could see it.
Yeah. So the green boxes is your field of interest, and it is looking for your text. It's a Bangla text. It is doing optical character recognition. So these are the bottles. These are the moving bottles. Can anyone guess what is the speed of this bottle? Like how many bottles are passing? Oh, by the way, this is the camera. How many bottles are passing in front of this camera in 1 minute? Can you guess?
Sir,
Yeah,
Mane, like in 1 minute, like 10 bottles are passing, 100 bottles are passing, or 20 bottles are passing. Like, what is the speed? Can anyone guess?
I think in 1 minute, maybe 500 bottles.
You are off by 4 times.
Oh, four times.
Yeah, so you said 4 times less.
Okay. Then
So there
you
is
are telling that 2000 bottles
yeah,
is
approximately 1800 to 2000 bottle pass in 1 minute. So that is the production rate of Pepsi or Coca-Cola, and that gives you few milliseconds to each bottle. And in these few milliseconds, my camera is taking the photo of your bottle, as you can see in here very much clearly. In that few milliseconds, I am taking photo. I am after taking that photo on that bottle, I am locating the text. After locating the text, I am decoding that Bangla text into image pattern into actual text. After that, I am what do you call verifying that text with the laser marker. Ki like, okay, I am marking today's date. What is today's date? 9/7 to 2021. So is 9/7/2021, and the time is getting printed or not. So the time is increasing every second. So it is not like I'm programming something and same thing is running again and again. It's dynamically changing the what to look for. Like it's dynamically updating time. Ki like, okay, after 1 minute look for this time. After 1 second look for this time. So all this thing is happening in like few milliseconds. If you divide 2000 by 60, you will get whatever the millisecond. Sorry, 60 divided by 2000, you will get whatever milliseconds you need for one bottle. So it's awesome tech, and as people, the most proud you can feel is like all this thing. Like the camera is from a US company, Cognex, but all this application development and everything is purely done by Bangladeshi people. So there is no for like some foreigner is coming and giving you something or teaching you something, nothing like that. So whole this application like Bangla thing and everything done by Bangladeshi people. We have done it is in house. So there is a lot of scope of such kind of thing. And when my company started automation business, there were quite of thinking like, oh, can Bangladeshis do this? Because it was always Chinese and Indian doing. But we can proudly say like uh, fully Bangladeshi company, we are doing this in Bangladesh, and we are giving tough. I being an Indian, I am saying that my company is giving a tough time to Indian companies in Bangladesh. So you can see at what level of technology we are working, and this technology is available in Bangladesh. So all these things are already installed in your Coca-Cola app, Pepsi factory, then Speed factory. Speed is I guess of Akij, I'm not sure. So all these things are installed there. So the laser marking also happens in few millisecond, verification also happens in few millisecond. And if it is not marked properly, the bottle gets rejected. So now you will say, okay, sir, ये तो आपने बोल दिया. What is this link with the industry 4.2? So when I am doing all this thing, the bottle count or the rejection count is getting updated in their ERP in live. So their ERP, in their ERP planners, the marketing people, they put like, okay, our target production for today or our target production for this week is so many bottles or so many liters. They just feed it. My printers takes that data ki, okay, my batch number is gonna be this, and my expiry date is gonna be this, and it starts printing. My camera verifies whether the data is okay or not. If bottles are rejected, it says like, okay, your production target is 1000 bottle, 999 bottles have been manufactured, one bottle is rejected. So the management gets in real time what is their target, are they achieving their target or not, so they can optimize their factory SOPs, they can optimize everything, so which is the cost saving measures for them. So this is how industry 4.0 theme is emerging, that everything is connected to each other and everything is happening seamlessly. So you program all scenarios like, okay, if this happens, do this, if this happens, do this. If nothing is defined, then it will call, okay, for this something happen and you haven't defined what to do. So it will give you alarm. So worker will go or engineer will go and troubleshoot that problem. So this is the basic thing. The simplest form of industry 4.0 is like everything is connected to each other, and down the line we'll see more complicated examples. Any doubts, any questions?
So I think, Mr. Siog, you finished your presentation, isn't it?
No, I have.
Oh, you have, okay. I think
Yes.
we are running out of time. Actually, our time.
Okay,
was...
let me run through a few examples, then I can conclude. Give me like 2-3 minutes.
Okay, no problem.
Okay, so this is from your pharma company. Again, the example. This is how in blisters you put your medicine, and if medicine is missing, broken, you will get an alarm, and also it will mark which one is missing. So that increase your productivity again. This is barcode printer. We are printing this data, and again my camera is verifying whether it's correctly printed or not. This is we did for Unilever Bangladesh. So basically you have one tab. On that tab, you just have to select, okay, I want to make rain and my batch is 1 ton, or I want to make wheel, my batch is 1 ton. That's it. Whole thing is automated. This is your whole plant. This is your raw material, and this is your output. Because rain and wheel uses same raw material, but in different ratios. So you don't have to do like previously they'll have to manually put, okay, put 1 ton of salt, 1 kg of perfume and other chemicals. Here everything is automated. Just whatever things are needed for rain, they will get into in this tank. It will get mixed up and it's produced. If you want to make wheel, same thing. Whatever the products are needed, everything is automated. Everything is seamless. Just on one tab, you just have to put your what product you want, how much ton you want, and you're good to go. and switch over from one product to another product happens in like few minutes. So this is in detail how it is happening. See, there are some raw materials, salt, perfume, habi jabi. This is after you take all data, what to do with data. So after taking this data, any data from your factory, you can plot it and you can do the analysis. Like, okay, like I'm giving you one example. Like if this is your failure rate, okay, my motor current starts increasing, current consumption starts increasing from this point, and this is my failure point. So this pattern will be learned by your machine learning algorithm, and whenever it reaches at this point, any graph reaches at this point, it will give you alert like, okay, it will fail in average 10 days, 20 days, 30 days. So that's the current trends in industry that we are now teaching machine the failure points. So these are the few SCADA things we did, which is like industry 4.0. Sitting anywhere in the world, you can complete control your whole factory. You can see all the what you call critical data of your machineries. We can go on any granular level. You can see details of each small motors as well. So that's what we do. These things Festo related, I'm not gonna touch because it's already in your lab. So I guess if we have time for question answers, we can take questions. Oh, I'm done with my presentation.
Okay, thank you very much, Mr. Xiao, for your nice
Thank you,
presentation.
sir.
Okay, now I want to request the audience, if you have any question, please ask him, as well as you can type in the chat box.
No need to be asked many questions. You can, you don't have to be asked to my presentation. You can ask any questions related to industry. I'm open for that.
Okay, okay. So our presenter is telling any question about the industry, we can ask him. If anybody would like to ask any question, please admit. So I think nobody is asking any question. So I have two questions to you, Mr. Xiao.
Okay, sir.
Okay, yeah, you are telling about the textile sector about our country, in our country, and
Yes.
I think you have visited our country because I've heard some of the name of our places, Amin Bazar, Gaptoli. You are uttering actually. So
Yes.
did you visit Bangladesh actually before?
I am in Bangladesh for past 2 years.
Okay, okay, then you know everything. So could you tell us?
First time I visited, sorry to interrupt, first time I visited Bangladesh, that was in Buet for 4 days, and after that I went to Ruet. And that's in Ruet I met my current boss.
Okay, so my question is that from your perception, what are the challenges to have the industry 4.0 automation in Bangladesh? Do you think? Please tell us the key points or key challenges we might have or we are facing right now in Bangladesh.
The first and foremost is the perception of management. I mean, so sorry, I'm not being very politically correct. I'm being very honest with you people. Is first and foremost, they are looking for a cheap solution. They say upfront cost is too high, but they don't see like ROI. Like if they install this thing, they will recover their money in like 1 year, 2 years. But again, in Bangladesh, I see there are two parties. There are few very well established industries who have hunger for automation, they have hunger for new technology, and there are other people who are like, okay, if we are getting something cheap, we will try. Otherwise, we are not interested. Jo chal raha hai, chalne do. I am again saying this is with the management, not with actually the factory in charge. If you go and anywhere, the factory in charge always want automation because his production increases, his cost goes down. But it's basically with management. They think either from a socialist point of view, like if I go for automation, what will happen to my labor? Or it is like, okay, I want cheap. But again, I'll say there are 50% of industries who they say like we strictly want automated parts.
Okay. So your perception is we are weak in management actually. I mean, management sector, we need to improve or boost up ourselves.
Yes. I can tell you one thing. There are few industries, they say, few industries, man, a few group of companies, they say, we only want made in Germany products. We don't want made in China or made in India. So that how they are very particular about their products. Like Siemens makes European products and same product is made in China or India for cost saving. Everything is same, just it is little bit cheaper. But they say we don't want Indian or Chinese, we want European. We are ready to pay extra money.
Okay, thank you very much for your nice presentation. If we don't have any question for that, so I want to get the floor to moderator. Please, moderator, continue for the next part of
Thank you,
this
sir. Thank you,
session.
sir.
Thank you, sir. At this stage, our session chair, Professor Dr. Ajay Krishna Sarkar sir, will hand over a certificate as a token of appreciation to our honorable invited speaker, Suyog Bhavare.
Okay, we are very fortunate to have you, Mr. Suyog. We have learned a lot of matter from your research talk or your presentation, and this is a very formal token for you. Right now, we are passing very severe pestilence situation all over the country, our country as well as the world. So
Yes,
this is our certificate for
Thank you,
appreciation.
sir. Thank you.
Please accept it.
Thank you, sir. Thank you. I'm honored.
Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to appreciate our honorable session chair and co-chair. I, on behalf of the organizing committee, feel honored to share the session chair and co-chair certificate as a token of appreciation. Now I will open the certificate for session chair. Sir, please accept this certificate.
Okay. Thank you very much. I am very much honored to be being a session chair of this session. Thank you very much. And I would like to express my great heartfelt thanks to the organizer and all the committees associated with this conference. Thank you very much.
Thank you, honorable session chair. Now I would like to request our honorable session co-chair to receive a certificate as a token of appreciation. Sir, are you present, sir?
Thank you, Mehdi. Thank you.
Thank you, honorable session co-chair, sir. Ladies and gentlemen, it is time to capture this beautiful memory as a source of inspiration for our next edition of the conference. I would like to request all of you to open the camera and to complete the photo session. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you for all your participation and to make this session live. With the permission of session chair and co-chair, I would like to close this session.
Okay, please do it.
Thank you so much, sir.
Okay, bye. Take care. Stay safe.
Thank you very much, everybody. Bye.
Thank you.